You're not exactly catching me at best, but you're catching me. It's Friday evening, 7:02 p.m., and you're here on another issue of Coffee Talk. I put out a new, um, a friend of mine made me a thumbnail, and Uncle Al has already uh, approved it. So that's a good thing. Uh, and I'm using my 10th generation iPad for my stream. I hope everybody had a good week. KP Heaven, again, greetings from Louisiana. Appreciate you being here. And my friend Joseph Moore. Hello, Joseph. I hope you had a good week, you and your family. Uncle Al Die Bullfrog, 79. Pre-retirement days. Hello. Thank you for coming. A little cold. I understand it was cold today here. It's in the low 50s. Very windy, very wet, very damp. Six watching and 5 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel. It will be greatly appreciated. I tell you what, I was talking to one of my friends a little while ago. Used to work together. We both retired. He stayed retired, and I went back to work for the school district. I jokingly said, "Well, I used to be an officer, and now I'm like a private. I'm teaching." And he was saying he hasn't been getting notifications for my he hasn't been getting any notifications. And I said, well, I'm sort of shadow banned by YouTube. YouTube does not like me. Apparently, they feel that my content is too, maybe it's MAGA or whatever you want to call it, too conservative or too, they don't like my content. So they're not promoting me. Little Lone Prepper, hello, Little Lone Prepper. Thank you for coming. But I have a new thumbnail which I will start using for my live streams. Somebody that I work with at school that's good with Canva did it for me, put it together for me, and I think it's nice. And it's got like a scene out in the out in the wilds, and you've got trees, and you've got a lake, you got water, and you got a little camping setup, there with the pot and open fire, coffee talk, and it says with David Lynn Prepper Principal, which I really appreciate that being set up for me. Uh, the AI algorithm hates small channels. Well, yeah, I guess so. So I guess I'm part of the 6 in the house, 8 likes. It is what it is. So I need to finish my video so I can get my box out for Devil Dog Prepper. And I've got the box loaded up. I'm going to basically film unboxing it, taking stuff out to show you what's in it. Then I'll rebox it, and then I'll get it mailed off. And they want Winston Smith materials, C 1984. Yeah, I guess. So I went over to my local Walmart, and I took an image, took a picture of the eggs, and what they're charging for them. They want like $28 for a big box of eggs, and they're asking about $7.50 for an 18-pack. You get the organic ones; they're $8 for the organic ones for a dozen organic eggs. But for just the generic 18-pack of eggs, the large eggs, right now the price is like $7.54. I'll post an image of it. I took a shot of it, and I'll post it. $5.69 a dozen here. Yeah. Well, I hear you. If I get really ambitious, I may do another, because I want to do another episode of the Coffee Talk News, and I want to try to do that. And I will plan on hopefully getting that done this weekend. It'd be nice if I could get the box video sent off, get the box done, and then I could get the news done. I'm disappointed. A dozen of extra large is $18.89 here. Yeah, I think it was out in California where they were killing all the chickens. You know, and they were saying, well, it'll take 6 or 7 months. Actually, for a new crop of chickens, you get your hatchlings. It takes about 9 months for the normal variety of chicken before they start producing. From the time they hatch to when they start producing eggs is about 9 months. My turkins, I'm told, will start producing after about 6 months, and when I got them, they were 4 months old. So hopefully, sometimes in the next 6 weeks, 5 weeks, at some point they'll start producing. They'll start laying eggs. They still got a little bit to go before before that happens. Mom of 4 boys. Hello, mom of 4 boys. You know, sometimes I go on, I do a live stream, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, and basically, you know, the t-shirt. So I have my school clothes on. I normally wear a white long sleeve dress shirt, old school, with some slacks, and it'd be a blue moon before you see me wearing some blue jeans, but I do own a couple of pair. And but I thought I'd keep my shirt on. I'm wearing shorts, so I took my dress shoes, and I took my slacks off, and I'm wearing some shorts, and I got my shirt on. So when I finish with the live stream, the shirt's coming off. I feel better that way. Been a long day. We had kids till 12:30, and then at 2 we had a couple hours worth of training. I got to leave at 4:15 today, and I got my progress report grading done, and I got what I need to have done, so I didn't have to bring any work home this weekend. I don't like taking work home. I usually get to school. I'm usually the first person at school by about 6, a little after. The alarm goes off at 6:30, so I can go in usually 6:33, 6:35. Check the phone. It says 6:33, 6:35. I'm inside the building over at my class, which my building is an inner building separate from the main building. The main building is like a wraparound. My building's like on the inner. Was the arts building. They would have homemaking and art, and they still have 2 homemaking classes in there, and then they have my class, which is the behavioral unit, and I got the restroom in it. And then they've got another class which they're using basically for the 2 instructional coaches, and they have meetings in there. So there are 4 classes in my building, you know. Seven in the house, 9 likes. Am I a strict teacher? I have a behavioral unit, so I have to be very careful pushing my kids too hard, or they go off. And when they go off, they go off. So I hold to a certain standard, but I can't treat it the way I would a normal classroom. You know, I don't approach them aggressively. I basically use more carrot than I use stick. But I'm a firm believer in use of the stick. I used to paddle when I was a AP, and when I was a principal, I used to paddle kids. I've got a pair of custom paddles that were made for me. They have good grips on them. And occasionally I will use an image of me in a suit in an office, and if you look at the back wall behind me, it shows a mount with 2 paddles hanging from it, and I use both of those paddles. You know, they were made by a construction trades teacher for me, and I those paddles are 20 years old, and I've used them. Hadn't used them since I retired, but before I retired, I used them. Um, well, there's a lot of stuff coming out in the news about the administration. Trump has been in office, they say, for about 24 days, I think they said 24 days. He's been in office 24 days. So it feels like 3 years. He's doing a lot. He's done like over 100 executive orders. And RFK Jr. just got, and it was close. It was close. RFK Jr. just got confirmed. Tulsi Gabbard just got confirmed. Mitch McConnell, they call him the turtle, former um, majority leader, and he was minority leader. Last couple of years he'd been minority leader. He's 80, 82 years old, I think. He's still, sometimes they have to wheel him around in a wheelchair, and he needs to retire, and they need to do something with him. We had a behavioral class next to ours when I was in 6th grade. One of their students got scissors and ran down hallway cutting all the bulletins down. Well, you try to keep the kids from anything that can hurt somebody. And they don't like you using restraint on a kid now, the way the law is and the way the woke is. Kid can freak out. And if the kid's not going after you or the kid's not going after somebody else, they just say let them have their fit. I've been pretty good about avoiding that this year. Usually, my most difficult student has fits when I'm not around. Like I'm out at meetings, or I'm out doing something that I'm required to do. And that's usually when that student has their blow-ups. I'm pretty good at dealing with them. And I've got a good relationship with the child. So I don't believe the kid would attack me, but they, got a history of being very explosive. And a lot of the kids these days have that kind of stuff. Where I'm at, they're having a lot of. Used to be when I was an AP and when I was a principal, we'd have issues with marijuana. And now it's a lot of this vaping THC stuff. They get these vapes that got THC, which is basically extract, like marijuana extract in it. And they have a lot of problems with that. Nationally, they got a lot of issues with fentanyl. And the way that they make this fentanyl, they're not controlling. They're not controlling the dosages. So you get these people who don't know what they're doing, and they put together, they make these fentanyl tablets, and then the tablets got like a lethal dose. So a lot of people take one pill and they die. A lot of times, they're learning to a certain extent to lessen the dose. So you want to keep your customers coming back. You can't kill them. You can shear a sheep many times. You can basically skin it only once. And they're trying to learn that. Yes, I'm at a middle school. We need school tasers. Yeah. Oh, Judas Priest. Yeah, I can imagine that. I can imagine that. I can definitely imagine that. Tasers, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, when I was my last job before I retired, I was working in a small school district, rural school district, and I would wind up going dealing with the elementary school, helping the elementary principal. Didn't like to paddle kids, so I'd have to go over and do the paddling, and I'd sometimes have to meet with them and such and deal with issues. And there's this little boy that was, I guess, kindergarten, and he liked to pull out his private and show it to the little girls, and we'd have that issue, and he'd get sent down to the office, and I'd have to deal with him and deal with the parents and meet with the parents, and the parents, you know, the father thought that was cute because that was his boy, you know. You wonder where the kid got that from. It's probably from the dad or somebody, showing that kid to do that. And I'd have to deal with that, and and then you're dealing with the parents, and the parents are all tatted up. They're very immature. They're mid 20s. You know, they got a couple of kids. Got a girl a couple of years older, third grader. The boy's like kindergarten. And you meet with the parents, and they're all both got you know criminal records. They both been to prison, and you know you're dealing with a parent that doesn't know how to parent. It's a bad influence on the kid. You know, and a lot of times that's what happens. Is that you got kids that are growing up and they're being raised by a single mom, or they're from a dysfunctional family, and maybe the grandparents are raising them. Um, Sometimes they're in foster care, and an aunt or somebody's raising them and getting a check to basically take care of them. Um, it's a messed up situation. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Some of these kids don't know who their fathers are. You know, or might not know who their mother is. They get left with a grandparent when they're very young, and they don't even have a memory of their parent. And there are a lot of places, where you've got all this, like sex worker stuff, escorts, whatever you want to call them. It's legal in some places, and they don't enforce it. Uh, I can remember AOC, uh, Cortez, that squad social Democrat, socialist, or whatever you want to call them. They're communist. And she would say, "Well, sex work is work." You know, talk about working women and treat it like a job, treat it like a regular job. I tell you what, Uncle Al has been putting out a lot of shorts. I haven't been doing um, as much. I've got a new one a couple hours ago. Before that, I had one, I think, real early this morning. I'm not, a lot of my shorts have not been getting that many views lately. I think it's, I think it's YouTube. Just posted for. I've got a bunch of stuff that I could upload if I really wanted to. I could. I've got a bunch of stuff that I could upload that I've shot. I'm limiting it to 2 or 3 a day. I am trying to upload some of the older stuff that I shot. Seven in the house, 9 likes. Uh, we live in perilous times. We live in, you know, they're they're getting a lot of the Democrats are panicking. They're getting a lot of blowback because a lot of their secrets and a lot of their slush funds and a lot of their outrageous spendings being exposed. They they're a lot of their secrets. You know, the man behind the curtain has been exposed. You know, the wizard is not a wizard. It's a little old man behind the curtain that's been pulling one, and people are starting to see that. A lot of the stuff that's really just wasteful spending. All of the stuff where they're sending stuff to they're sending money to countries to do stupid stuff. It's not about buying food, you know. It's not about medical. It's supporting DEI, uh, supporting LGBTQ. You get these nuts, uh, gay people supporting Hamas. What they don't know is that if they were over in Gaza, they'd throw them off a building for being gay. You know, it's a big no-no in their religion, and it's a big no-no in Christianity. But you don't see, you know, Christians, you know, taking people and throwing them off buildings, you know, or beheading them or any of the stuff that they do over there. It's really just scary, the stuff that, you know, you see, and I just don't, you know, I don't know. So they're looking at doing away with the Department of Education. And the way I see it where I'm at, and I live in Texas. So Texas is one of the richer states. It has a larger gross domestic product or income or whatever you want to call it. We send more money to the federal government for education than we get back. You know, you look at your Carl Perkins money for vocational education. You look at your IDEA, Individuals with Disability in Education Act. The money that we send for special education, we don't get as much back as we send. So the idea of that being, if we were to um, stop sending money to Washington for that, then we would be ahead because we would have more money. Texas would have more money in its pocket because traditionally they do the Robin Hood thing, which they've been doing in Texas as far as the Texas Education Agency. What they would do is they would collect money from these wealthy districts. They've got minerals and oil money and natural gas, and you know, they've got a real good tax base, and they send in money, and then they distribute money and they send it back, and then the state sends these districts less money than they put out, so they're in a losing situation. But as far as sending money to the federal government, if we send education dollars to the federal government and we stop sending them money, and we were in the situation where we would get back less than what we sent, well, we're in better shape. Now there are other states that were benefiting, poorer states that were benefiting because they would get money from the wealthier state. They'd send in money, and they'd get more money to sort of try to level things out a little bit better. And those states are going to suffer because they're not sending near the money to the federal government, and they'll start getting back. Well, you know, you're not sending the money in, but you're not getting anything back. So those states will suffer. And then they want to have the voucher. They want to have vouchers. You know, Texas, the governor and the legislature, they want vouchers so that you can basically take that money and put it in a school that you want to be in, like whether it's private school or charter school or whatever, but you get to take those dollars with you. And that's something that they want to do. Hello, Mayor Ben. How are you doing? Been talking about education. Hello, Melinda Elliott. Thank you for coming. Uh, 6 in the house, 10 likes. Or 7 in the house, 10 likes. So we talked a little bit about the Department of Education going away. And we've talked about all of the funny business that Doge is finding. Um, they're going after some of the people that went after Trump. And they released some information about the JFK assassination. There were two shooters. There were two shooters. and that's something that they hadn't. That was one of those things they tried to keep under the table. Um, so they're wondering what other stuff they're going to release some stuff about RFK's assassination. They wanted, the Martin Luther King. Those were the big three that were assassinated during the '60s. Very tragic, very tragic, and questioning about who was involved with that. Who all was involved with the assassination, or the circumstances and that kind of stuff. Uh, they're talking about trying to protect us against China. Um, they're concerned about possible infiltration. They're catching catching them trying to get onto bases and secure facilities and certain stuff. That balloon apparently that they had sent that got shot down over the East Coast, that basically flew across the United States. That huge balloon. Apparently, it had a lot of tech that was like U.S. tech, high tech. So they basically put that thing together using our technology. Just lots of stuff coming out. Lots of stuff coming out. And I guess I would be accused of misinformation, or that uh, I put out dangerous information. People get content notifications on my content. Um, I don't say anything that I don't believe to be the truth. If I don't believe it to be the truth, I wouldn't repeat it. But there's enough stuff out there. There's been enough stuff out there to where it was like the dossier, the Steele dossier. That is plainly was a put-up job that came out. They removed the clearance of like 51 people that signed that letter. That was a put-up job, and it turns out that letter, Blinken supposedly, the Secretary of State under Clinton, I guess he got rewarded for what he had done, but he was the one that put that motivated that letter, or romanced that letter that went out. You know, there was a lot of voodoo going on. A lot of voodoo. Very cold, very cold. And then I'm being told old information by Uncle Al. I don't. I'm told stick to the script. I don't have a script right now. I'm at like I write notes of stuff I want to talk about, and I'm not. I am a professional educator. I have three educational related degrees. Of my 5 degrees, three of them are educational related. And I tell people I'm not high tech. I'm old school. The internet came out after I got my last degree. And then when the internet came out, remember dial up? Dial up? How slow it was? And it took years to get stuff wired up. You know, you'd have internet over your phone line, cable. I remember when they were retrofitting schools, Cisco systems. They were wiring schools for internet. I remember that back in the day and how slow things were and the technology that they had. The huge monitors that they used. The Nothing was wireless. They didn't have wireless back then. Everything was hardwired, and everything was slow. And they wired the libraries, the universities, the government buildings, the schools. All that stuff got wired first. You know, so it might have came out in '95, but then a lot of places you lived out back, rural. A lot of people had issues trying to get to the internet. I live with that. Utah Mike. Hello, Utah Mike. Thank you for coming. Um, YouTube has been around since 2005. YouTube's 25 years old. No, 20 years old this year. YouTube, 20 years old. Uh, a lot of the apps that people use, they're not that old. They haven't been around that long. And kids, I'm glad you had a great family vacation, Mike. Yes, YouTube is it is an international company. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with TikTok. President Trump gave it a 90-day extension, I think. Well, almost one, 3 months. One of those months is almost over. We'll see what happens. They still might pull it from the U.S. market. If they did, it would really benefit YouTube. You know, a lot of the the users that have YouTube accounts aren't using them; they're using the TikTok accounts. I know a few people that are big on TikTok, and they're very small on YouTube. You know, they're very big on TikTok, where they might get 1 million views on some of their little stuff that they put out, and they're very small on YouTube. That might also the money that people would get. Idaho Garden Girl, thank you for coming. Scooter Ranch, hello. Thank you for coming. Please leave a like to support the channel, it'll be greatly appreciated. Lasagna and soup, sour bread. That sounds good, Uncle Al. They are building wall. Texas has been building wall. They're building wall. They're building wall in California now along the Tijuana district. They 10 in the house and 14 likes. They are building taller wall. They've got wall and they're trying to raise it. They're building new wall off from the old wall 32 feet high to try to make sure people don't, you get people with these big ladders trying to get over the wall. Like you have like a 18-foot or a 20-foot wall. It's easier to get over than a 32-foot wall. And they're crying about the people that they're catching and then running right back on the other side. They're paying these. They're using drones and such to watch them. They're paying these coyotes or these cartels $10,000-$15,000, to allow them to go across. And they're doing these mountain trails and such, and then they get close and get along, to an area where they can get across the border, and then they go snatch them up and they go take them back, and they release them at a port of entry someplace else, and they're out $10,000-$15,000 that they paid the cartel. Very unhappy people. And they basically canceled all those app appointments. They had like over 1 million appointments that had been made. They used this app to make an appointment for a hearing, and they basically just poof, all that disappeared. Of course, we still need the wall. And the wall will cost a lot. And yeah, and there is a lot of people with TB. Yes, there is. There's a lot. The immigrants that are coming in, a lot of them are not vaccinated. So some of these childhood maladies that we had pretty much wiped out, we had pretty much wiped them out. Well, they're starting to come back, and they're contagious, and they spread this stuff to the population. So they're having to start up inoculations again for things that they had pretty much wiped out. At least here in the United States. I mean, there's a lot of there. It's costing. I mean, if you think about, they're costing us billions and billions of dollars. And you can say, well, I'm a compassionate person. I am a compassionate person. But I have said it since I was a little kid. I've been having adult conversations since I was a kid with adults. I used to hang out. That's who I used to hang out with, was adults, and I'd be talking about the stuff that the adults would talk about. And we can't take the world's population in. We cannot take in the world's population. No way. It's the truth. Eight in the house, 14 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel. Measles and mumps. And yes, we still need the wall. We certainly do. I'm wondering when it gets to the point where they start shooting them. You've got these cartel types shooting across the border, shooting at our people. They're shooting at our border patrol agents. They're shooting at Americans along the wall. It's getting, they talk about bombs and such. They're setting, these roadside bombs. They're starting to do the same type of stuff that they were doing over in the Middle East. It's going to get rough. The cartels they basically have declared them to be terrorist organizations. So at some point, you're going to have the special operators going in to get them. And there's thousands of them. You know, some of these cartels, they've got thousands and thousands of what they call foot soldiers or whatever. They're armed. You know, and that'll be a tough road to hoe. So here we are trying to, we're basically at the point where we're going to start fighting a war trying to secure our border. And then you got China over there, and they're just, I mean, they're losing their minds to get Taiwan back. Their president, I mean, it's like honor. That's just like the world's going to come to the world will come to an end if they don't get their little island back, and that will be a fight. You know, they're thinking, well, the United States isn't going to intervene. Look what they did over here. They didn't defend Ukraine, or they're the limited defense of Ukraine. Well, look at what has happened to Russia. The Russian Black Sea Fleet, which was supposed to be pretty, awesome, it's pretty much defunct. The the stuff that they had in Syria, they had a big naval base in Syria. They lost that. They're out. They're moving over, I think, to Libya. And those ships, they don't have the ability to, they're not blue water. It's not really a blue water navy. They they don't have the range. They don't have the where they're going to. They can't the maintenance. They can't maintenance them, and apparently, they can't get back up to Russia. They can't get back up to Russia. So they're sort of, and they got to be very careful about pulling into ports like certain ports because they will basically um, lock them down where they can't leave, and they'll keep the ships and probably fly the Russians or send the Russians back. The naval crews back to Russia, and that's their better quality ships. But the only thing that the Russians really have is they've got some pretty good submarines, the newer stuff that they've been building, and they retired most of their older stuff. So they have 5 or 6 boomers that are equipped with nukes, and then they've got some hunter killers. That's basically the best part of their navy is their submarine fleet. Yeah, and they got a ton of icebreakers. Yes, they do. They've been building those. They've got something like 20 icebreakers, whereas we've got like two, and one of them's up for maintenance. One of them's they're it's not out and about because it's like got to have some serious maintenance done to it. We really need to build. They need to build some, but problem is we don't have the people with the skills to do it. They have to train up some. Like the idea is like, well, instead of building one carrier at a time, now they want to start doing 2 carriers at a time. They want to try to beef things up a little bit, but it's like they struggle like having the trained people that can do it and do the quality work. That's a problem. You know, they don't have, and in the port facilities. I think they've got like three. They got three places where they build the majority of our ships. Three yards that are building ships, building submarines and such. and they're basically working. They're sort of close to capacity for what they're building. So the Chinese can outbuild us. The Russians can't. The Russians can't build. They've got one aircraft carrier that's like on its last leg. That they basically, if it goes out, it's got to take a tug with it for when it breaks down. They don't retire it because they want to be able to say that they got a carrier. Um, the carriers that the Chinese are building, they've got one decent carrier that they have built domestically, and then they've got a couple that were basically reconditioned that they had from the Russian, the old Soviet ones. One that they basically bought an old used one, and then one that they actually built on that plan, but it's not. Call it a training carrier. It's not something that's going to go out and fight. You know, the Russians really they don't have the ability to build one, and the Chinese down the road they could probably, they're learning. They're way behind. They're learning, and they really don't have a blue water. Yep, sank in dry dock. Belinda's Country Living. Hello, Belinda. Thank you for coming in. Sorry I missed you earlier. Levin in the house, 15 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. I am going to try to get some stuff out this weekend. Part-time planning, thank you for coming. Please leave a like to support the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Yeah, I cannot imagine. Yeah, they do. They do need. China does need a fuel ship because they're not nuclear for their carriers. I wouldn't want. I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to try to take those things into combat. No, Lord, no. I'd hate to be up north where you get snowed in. Well, did the snow plows clear? Whatever. It's like I'd hate to be up there where you got to put chains on tires and such. It's like, oh, no, 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 nope, 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 nope. Would not want to do it at all. 10 in the house, 15 likes. Well, Uncle Al's been promising us one more apocalypse snowstorm before we start getting a little bit warmer. We'll see. We'll see. So I will try to get my video uploaded. Devil Dog Prepper's box, and I'll try to get his box out in the mail. I will try to upload another Coffee Talk News, which would be the fourth one, be a short one. It'll be 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes at most, if I can figure out what I want to put in it. And then I'm sorry you've been sick. God bless you. And I promised Dave Yoda, I got all the components I'm gonna send. I need to send him some stuff. But I will try to be back tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk in the evening. I hope you like my thumbnail. I have my friend made me a thumbnail for Coffee Talk. It's a nice one, I think. I like it. And I'm going to start using that one. And I appreciate y'all coming in. When I get up in the morning, I thank God for the day. You don't know how many days you have. I drink my coffee, take my medication, contemplate the day. I say the Lord's Prayer. And I try to be as positive as I can. You know, life is good, but, you know, things happen. It is what it is. You know, sometimes things aren't as good as they could be. So currently this storm is hitting Stephanie. Well, God bless Stephanie. I appreciate y'all coming. It's been a week. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Hopefully you can join me tomorrow at 7 p.m. for another edition of Coffee Talk. Thank you. God bless. Bye-bye.